Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the business and the SillyVille editions. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think I said all that right. Have a look at the website, switchedtolinux.com/live. I'll give you all of the stream links. We're streaming on 5 different platforms right now, those being YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, Twitch, and DLive. You can join us on over there. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and jump right on into the news. This was a neat little article. We almost did the Thursday supporter screen discussion on this, but then I thought that the Office software accounting was so much more fun. But this is a new book by Professor Karen Levy. And what she says is that monitored workers are less likely to think outside the box. Other translation, if you're being monitored by regular tracking software at work, you're more likely turned into a drone employee. You're not willing to take risks. You're not willing to do anything that would possibly be a negative mark on the software. Now, a lot of what the discussion she has is on the trucker software. And in some instances, some software on things like this make a little bit of sense as long as they don't go too far. So if you have a system that will track where the truck is and the amount of time on and off, I'm okay with that. I don't like the systems that also require you to constantly watching the truck driver's face through the camera and measure how many times he looks at the mirrors and all these other little things that they're talking about. Because what ends up happening, and she says, is that the best truck drivers are the people who are the safest drivers. And if you're constantly worried about doing all these things, you're getting into the habit of trying to check your mirrors and not doing the things that you need to do to safely drive. And so what she actually says is, what we found is that with most truck drivers, if you start forcing all of these monitoring tools on them, most of them are just more interested in resigning than anything else. But it gets into another story of a lady who was fired and she tried to sue them back for lost wages, but they had installed tracking software on her device. It almost sounded like they installed tracking software without her consent on the device. And then what ended up happening is they were able to basically prove that she just wasn't working all the time. She said, well, I printed documents out and worked offline. And they're like, well, we don't have a tracking of that because if you printed documents, then it would have gone through our software. So, well, I printed it from a different computer. And I completely understand this. When you start putting all sorts of these monitoring softwares on people, be like, oh, we got to make sure you're not wasting our time. You're becoming a micromanager. And what's happening is people are going to set up little devices that are going to come by. I might throw a bunch of cat treats around my mouse. So every once in a while, the cat will come up here and bat the mouse around. You know what I mean? And basically make it look like I'm working, keep stuff on the screen, and then I'm actually going to go take some more extended breaks, and this is what's going to lead to a lot of things. If you cannot trust somebody that they're going to get the work accomplished without micromanaging their computers to make sure they're doing enough clicks and looking at the screen in the right places and this, that, or the other, then you don't trust your employees, and you really don't have a lot of say when your employees don't like your company. But what she basically says is the more you monitor and track your employees, the more they're going to turn into drones and just do things that make it look like they're working, and it causes a loss of productivity, not an increase in productivity. Next up, Google, of course, is cutting 12,000 jobs, largest layoff in the company's history. That's 6% of their workforce. And it's getting rid of a lot of the things. Of course, Microsoft and Amazon also laid off a lot of people. This isn't anything surprising. This is exactly what happens with giant inflation. So you can thank the dementia patient in charge of this country, or at least allegedly in charge of this country, because every single thing that moron is doing is causing serious problems to our economy. And then this is exactly what happens. Food prices skyrocket, which is exactly what's going to happen. Thousands of people are laid off of their jobs, which is exactly what's going to happen, and our country turns into a giant hellhole. And this is really frightening and sad, but this is the sad reality of it. 12,000 people working for Google. being fired. Now, of course, some of them, there was actually a fun little one of these. Another one is, why is it like if you're working one of these companies and you do some TikTok video about how cool your day is because you get to eat for free at the bar and all these types of things. No, you had one meeting for the day, whatever else, and everything else you're doing is like fun influencer type life. There was one that did that on Twitter. Like a couple days later, she was fired. This was one at Google the other day, and then just like the next day, she was fired. You know, all these, maybe they're just cutting out these jobs. Like they literally saw what Elon Musk did and said, wait, Elon Musk just cut the company back a whole lot by getting rid of all these people doing social media influencer style things, basically showing that our time at Google doesn't do anything. And then, hey, he fired them all. Maybe that's really what's going on. Elon Musk just inspired a lot of tech companies to clean up the old shaft by getting rid of all the people that are just showing how amazing their job is because they wake up, they do 5 hours of yoga in the morning, they eat the free food at the bar, they go to one 30-minute meeting, and then they chill out on the roof of the company building, and then they go home and go shopping with their boyfriend. Well, if that's your entire day at Google, maybe you don't need to have a job there. Just thought. But yeah, we are seeing a lot of cutbacks in a lot of the companies. This does actually come with all the recessions and, the shows I've been watching that keep a fine tune on the economy. They told us months ago, massive layoffs are coming. And wouldn't you know it, every major company, massive layoffs indeed have come. But right on the hedge of this, the Department of Justice sues Google for ad dominance and wants the company to break up. Of course, 1 month prior to this being announced, Nancy Pelosi sells a bunch of Google stock, making millions of dollars. And then I forget which congressperson it was, entered a bill, a single item bill, basically saying, hey, nobody in Congress should actually be allowed to buy and sell anything on the stock market because they have too much insider information. Of course, the bill, I forget the name of the bill, but it actually spells out Pelosi. It's the Pelosi Act. But Department of Justice sues Google for ad dominance, wants to break up the company. This has to do with the double-click portion of the ad. So, of course, this is the overall breakdown, and I've actually done work on all ends of this for clients. We do a lot over here with Google Ads. So the advertisers, so one of my clients, we run their Google ad campaign, and so what they're doing is we have a bunch of products. We're trying to get them in there. We're creating all of the Google ads. So we're the advertiser over here. We're using AdSense, setting up all of our ads. Then there's the ad exchange. And then on the other hand are people who have websites that are hosting ads. And involved in this is DoubleClick, is the company going back and forth, taking the amount of ads available, throwing them onto the ad exchange, and then grabbing them from DoubleClick and then putting them on the website. And what they're saying is that this DoubleClick is they have over a 90% market share. Now, why is that? It has to do with 80% market share down to 40%, depending on what you're doing. This has to do with the 40% on the display and video because, Facebook, Instagram, they have ad networks as well versus just search engine ads and things like that. They have a little bit more on this side. But over here, DoubleClick has greater than 90% of market share because think about it. The only place I know of to do ads, you are either running Google ads or you're running those horribly scammy, what are called chum ads. And if you've ever seen the chum ads, they're at the bottom of maybe some of the news articles that we cover here will have chum ads at the bottom. Basically, you get to the bottom of the article, and there's this whole panel of just piles of extra crap down at the bottom with, spammy looking titles and articles. Those are all ads, and those are called chum ads. Basically, they're throwing a bunch of stuff down there and you're just wanting to click whatever it is. Well, how many different ad networks are there? If I wanted to put ads on my website and I say, well, the Google's the devil, which kind of is, what other options do I have? I can do the scammy chum ads or I can do the Google ads. What is the other option? And does it pay out? Those are good questions, and that's what the DOJ is saying involved in this case. Microsoft confirms a multi-billion-dollar investment in the firm behind ChatGPT. Microsoft and AI is never a good sign. You will remember that Microsoft released Tay on Twitter, and it only took about a grand total of 3 days before they take it down because it turned into a literal white supremacist Nazi. Now, I've never met a white supremacist or a Nazi in real life. They are the magical unicorns that leftists see a white supremacist under every single branch, and every single person has a view that they don't agree with. They're all white supremacists, even black guys. I've never met one, though. I've never met one. But Microsoft actually managed to create a white supremacist on Twitter. It was called Tay. They took it down because they unleashed this thing, and then everybody just trolled it until it literally started spitting Hitler quotes. I'm not going to say exactly what it was saying because that stuff would get you banned off the tubies. But look up Tay, Microsoft Tay. It was hilarious. So now Microsoft is investing in ChatGPT. So if you thought ChatGPT was a fun thing, just give it a few years. Once Microsoft has its tentacles inside of there, how long before Bill Gates takes it in and ChatGPT is just going to be one giant ESG score? That'd be great. So I don't think we have much more to say about that one. So way to go, Microsoft, destroying whatever they touch. And on to our final one, Walmart now has a text-to-shop feature. So now you can shop via text. You can set up your system so the text-to-shop experience, it's an experience, would cause me to experience throwing my phone out the window. All right, text-to-shop experience, which allows mobile customers across both iOS and Android devices to text Walmart the items they want to purchase from either their local stores or walmart.com, or easily reorder items for pickup, delivery, or shipping. However, the chat experience, as it stands today, does not come across as fully baked. Our tests have found. Oh, boy. It must have had Microsoft Tay in there. I would like some nice bed sheets. Would you like a white pointy hat with that? Yikes! That would be Microsoft Tay for you. I don't think it was that bad. The chatbot said confusing things, but the user interface at times is difficult to navigate, despite aiming to be a simpler text-based shopping experience. So basically, you get in here and you can. I can't make those images any larger. Sorry about that. But the text-to-shop feature on customers allows customers to shop the entire Walmart assortment via chat, whether it's your weekly grocery order from a nearby store or an e-commerce order you want shipped to your home. So here you go. Sarah, nice to meet you. Let's see. I'm shopping at Walmart app. Easy. App, website, or text. It's in one cart. I'll learn your usual so you can easily find them and save them. Start a search by texting me something specific like great value oatmeal or 2 Rama tomatoes. Make sure you're shopping from your Walmart by texting set store. FYI, words and quotes are commands. Try reorder and see what happens. Of course, there's some opt-out options. If Walmart starts texting me, I might just have to blow my phone up. 2% milk, 3 choices for delivery coming to town. Tap to select an item. Select the one of these you want. Search for pickup, search for shipping. Okay, 2% milk, 3 choices. This is the world we're going to get to. We're going to get to the point where we're going to start ordering Walmart products from our phone. Is this the epitome of lazy? Oh, look at this. $7.36 for 18 eggs. That is expensive. Definitely a product of time. $5 for 12. That's actually not too bad. I mean, is that frightening? That's not too bad. It's like $1.50 is I think is what I was paying at the beginning of the year. For comparison, when I had my house and I was buying eggs from the local farmer, he was up to charging $3.50 for eggs, which was about twice as much as I could get them for at the store. But they were directly coming out of the chickens that I was almost running over every time I went to get more milk and eggs. So I knew they were good. So I was certainly paying at $3.50. Now I'm paying like $5 a dozen right now. So there you go. If you are interested in shopping at Walmart from text, go for it. I'm pretty sure that's the epitome of lazy. You might go to hell for that, but who am I to judge? Well, if you want to help support the channel so I can afford eggs, you can head on over to Linode, tlm.li/Linode. Get $100 in credit, good for 60 days on any new account. You can do all sorts of fun stuff on there, gaming servers, VPNs, hosting accounts, streaming servers, just all sorts of fun, neat stuff. I couldn't even tell you the types of things that I'm hosting on mine. Maybe the restreaming server that's allowing me right now to stream this to 5 different platforms at the same time is hosted on Linode. The Jitsi server that we have for our supporter stream is also on Linode. So you can have a look at what they have to offer over there. $100, good for 60 days. tlm.li/Linode. Well, guys, you always love SillyVille, and we got some good SillyVille today. So, first up, do mechanical keyboards really need arrow keys? What, did they ask a bunch of incompetent people who don't use the keyboards? Like, I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure I use my arrow keys more than my letter keys. Let me know in the comments. Do you use your arrow keys on a regular basis? Is anybody even discussing this? I mean, really? And they're talking about other things that they could get away with as they talk about streamlining the keyboards and things. So some of it they're trying to want to put like mouse pads on the side of keyboards, things like that. So beyond that, AM Compact Touch has a niche layout with no arrow keys, no number pad, or no function key rows. Those are $400 to $600 for a keyboard without arrow keys, a number pad, or function keys. Okay, this is kind of like that whole meme of the scroll lock button or the print screen button. People are like, oh, what would you need all that kind of stuff for? Incompetent buffoons that don't know anything about computers. Because if I go ahead right now and I push the print screen button right now, boom, you might have just saw a little flash. I now have an entire print of my entire screen. Right now, I can save this, I can copy it to the clipboard or whatever else. I mean, that's how useful that type of stuff is. All right. Of course, arrow keys, if you're doing anything in a terminal, you definitely need that. But even on like Windows stuff, you're trying to go up and down in text to edit a line of code. Do you not need arrow keys for that? Who doesn't need arrow keys in their computer? I am completely baffled by this nonsense. Totally baffled. And then function keys. Oh, those antiquated function keys. We don't need function keys. Are you a buffoon? If you do not know the function of function keys, I'm sorry, you are about the computer competency of my mother. All right? And you know from the previous section that that's not necessarily a good thing. But, you know, here's... Of course, they're all focusing on the mechanical keyboards. So we want to go back to ancient style keyboards without functional capabilities. Why? Why, for the love of God? You know you can close most programs by like Alt F4. Like function keys serve purposes. Arrow keys serve purposes. Number keys, I mean, I can understand. I completely love them. I try and find computers with keypads. It's not the end of the world if I don't, but it just makes things easier if you work with numbers a lot. But it raises a lot of weird questions. I am completely baffled by this. Of course, we get down to the bottom with this guy here. I actually have this keyboard. This is my media PC keyboard, which I like it because it actually has a mouse button over here and volume controls over here. It's designed to do media stuff. This is designed to have the dreaded K word attached to your computer and have this sitting on your couch so you can do stuff. Of course, if you don't want one like that, you can always get one of these as well, which is basically the same thing, much smaller. But even this thing has arrow keys. It's got arrow keys on it, guys, because they're kind of useful. You need them. Yes, you do. You need them. All right. Moving on. Rent-A-Kill pilots facial recognition systems as a way to exterminate rats. Do we need facial recognition? Literally, the machine can identify which rat this is. I'm having pictures of Ratatouille. Are you finding the rat with the chef's hat making the soup in the kitchen? Are you finding the fat rat that always eats the cheese? But they're literally talking about this is a facial recognition stuff for the rat. It can identify individual rats inside of your house and then plan on the best ways to get them. Why not an AI that says, hey, there's a rat, kill it? Do we really need to identify which rat is which? And my next fundamental question, we know how facial recognition works with white guys. We know how much facial recognition does not work well with black guys. Can it identify the rat with more efficiency than a black man? I have questions about this. I have a lot of questions about this. I mean, wouldn't it be hilarious if the AI is better at identifying 3 different rats versus 3 different black people? Because, AIs are kind of biased. I mean, do we have biases built into the AI as well? I don't know. I don't get it. Why do you even need an AI to identify the rats? Just say, hey, there's a rat, kill it. But apparently somebody decided to do this. Now, the next 2 articles, I was completely not sure which one should be our final article. I went with this order because both of these articles are absolute nonsense. All right, a pet fish commits credit card fraud using an owner's Nintendo Switch. What? Thing stole $500. I think it was 500 pounds, but lesson, don't let your pets use your gaming gear. So, this guy sets up a system, and what he's trying to do is he's trying to get his fish to play Pokemon Go. Was it Pokemon? No, Pokemon Scarlet. Scarlet and Violet unassisted. So he creates a tracking software that monitors the fish as they swim along a grid, and the grid depresses buttons on his controller. And as the fish swim around, it randomly goes through and does random things on the game. This kind of reminds me of, we actually had, if you 80s geeks remember the NES Advantage, okay? We had an NES Advantage beat Kid Icarus once. It was actually a cup of lemonade. So the NES Advantage was a big blocky Nintendo with a control stick and huge buttons, if you're familiar. So what we did is we set the controller there, we put in all the cheat codes for Kid Icarus, so it was indestructible, whatever else, and we set the controller there, and we put a glass of lemonade on top of the shoot button on Turbo. And then we allowed the cup of lemonade to beat Kid Icarus. It was great. And it worked. Of course, we had to get to that last stage and set everything up just right. This guy's is much more brilliant. He's got a grid as the fish randomly swim around the tank. He's depressing buttons. But what happened is his device, was this a Switch, I think? What was it? It was either a Switch or a phone. I forget what it was. But it reset. It crashed. It went out of the game. I think it was a Switch. It went out of the game. It rebooted the system. And since he was not in the room, the fish keeps swimming around. And they ended up getting on. They attempted to make some purchases with PayPal, but they were not able to get past the 2FA. But he did have his credit cards inside of his store account on Nintendo. And so the fish got into the store account and just started buying a bunch of stuff. So this is 500 yen. Let's see. The pesky little critters got the Nintendo eShop to come up twice, entirely by chance, registered the correct sequence of inputs, add 500 yen into his account from his credit card that was saved on the Switch. They exposed his credit card information to everyone watching. Online. Then the scoundrels managed to accumulate reward points to purchase a new avatar, download the N64 emulator, get PayPal to send him a setup confirmation email, and change his Nintendo account name from Mutakarama to Rah 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 Rah. The fish free-for-all went on 7 hours in total before the future bait finally managed to power down the Switch. So he was explaining what happened to get his refund of 500 yen. Hilariously enough, Nintendo granted the request. So all said and done, nothing was truly lost except 10 points for an avatar. No harm, no foul. Event. Hopefully he sees it that way too and doesn't flush the little thieves down the toilet. Whatever. Hey, kitties, stay off of my internet. The kitties are like, give me kitty treats and we'll stay off your internet. All right. And then our last story, a U.S. school. So, of course, they wanted to install smart lights so that they could save power and do all this amazing wokey type stuff to save the planet, whatever else, right? Well, the problem is when they wired it in with a deeply proprietary company, okay? And then with that deeply proprietary company that they wired in, there were no manual off switches. Literally every bit of wiring was plugged directly in, no way to override it manually at all. Everything relied on the software, which stopped working from a proprietary company that got folded into another company. And so the entire system broke with all of the lights on full blast. So, while the Massachusetts school was trying to save all this power on electricity bills by having the smart lights, the system stuck in the on position. So the teachers were, unscrewing individual lights before leaving. They were triggering boxes. They really couldn't watch any movies or anything because there was no way to shut off the lights in the classroom. And so basically they try and reach out. So let's see. It was, they installed the lights 10 years ago. Fifth Light was the company, had changed hands several times, currently owned by a company called Reflex Lighting. According to the smoke signal report was left of Fifth Lighting, no longer has access to the old proprietary software to fix anything. So fixing the systems means replacing it all with new hardware. The problem with parts is it has been in the middle of a koofy nonsense and the whole huge chip shortage. And so the parts have been back ordered and delayed several times. Process of fixing the system was originally supposed to start in February 2022, but they can't get the parts. But nobody wired in manual switches. Additionally to this, you're using deeply proprietary software. This is why I don't like proprietary software. See, if this was on like HomeKit or something, was it HomeKit? What, a Home Assistant? I think it's Home Assistant, the open source standard. Yeah, it'd be easy. But it wasn't. We went with proprietary stuff. And this, guys, is why you should switch to Linux. So there you have it. We are going to save a ton of tax money by switching to this amazing smart lighting system that basically is charging them tons more money now because apparently they just can't shut the whole system down. No way to manually override it. Bad design. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have a locals page. switchedtolinux.locals.com. You can join us on over there, and we will have some regular stuff just for the non-paying subscribers, and then we'll have some behind-the-scenes stuff for the paying ones as well. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.